What up, YouTube? How is everybody? This is like take 29, 30. I am here today with another video, and my video today is on the corruption in Wyoming. I was born and raised here. I'm still a resident in Wyoming. And I also was a victim of what corruption can do to someone's life, how it can make things unfair for you. It can allow people that should not win, like take you to court and win cases that are just unthinkable to even, you can't even imagine that they would win these cases. I had my home taken away, money, cars, all kinds of stuff. I was left homeless, and I was a single mom at that time again, and it just so happened that when I went to court every time, I seen the same judge, of course, and the authority and officials. No one would help me. As a matter of fact, even my attorneys, we went to court. They never said a word to defend me. They didn't help me. They sure charged me, but they didn't help me. And then they dropped me right after I lost my house, even though they said we could appeal it and I had nothing to worry about. Well, yeah, I did, because I had 48 hours to get out of my house, and I, right then and there, was homeless. So I did have a lot to worry about. But then again, you know, when they're charging how much ever money they're charging an hour, they don't have that. They're left in a predicament to where, well, I guess they would be if they had all their money taken away like me and given to people for no frickin' reason, and just, it was an injustice. I mean, completely. And nobody still will help me in that, even though when I contact people, attorneys, you know, anyone that might be able to help me, they either don't call me back or they tell me that there's nothing they can do for me. Before they even hear, I just tell them my name, and before they even hear what I want to hire them for, they're telling me they can't help me. So that's where I'm left at. So if anybody knows of anybody that might be able to, you know, help me and maybe be my attorney to help me get this injustice made right, I would really appreciate it. So I definitely don't have a ton of money. I'm rebuilding my life for the millionth time, but I'm definitely willing to pay what I can, and then obviously do what I can throughout whatever. But I would really appreciate it. Or if somebody could do it pro bono, it is going to be pretty much a big case. I have a lot of evidence, a lot of information to share. And I think once somebody actually sits down and listens to me and sees what I have, I think that they would be more than willing to take my case. So if you are that person, please comment below. Or if you know somebody, please comment below, because I could really use somebody's help. Anyways, back to my video. Let's get started. Wyoming is the least populated state in the Union, with merely 580,000 residents. According to the 2014 estimate from the U.S. Census Bureau, that is fewer people for each of the state's nearly 100,000 square miles of ranch land, rolling hills, and peaks. The small town vibes definitely carry over into the politics, which you do expect that. I mean, you would expect that in any small town, for sure. Lawmakers can't get Jim Angel, executive director of Wyoming Press Association, said that lawmakers cannot get away with too much because they have to face their voters the next day. He also said that sort of informal oversight is just how it's done here in Wyoming, and there aren't many folks complaining about it, so there's no need to change anything, is pretty much what he's implying. In the 125 years of Wyoming statehood, the only government worker ever convicted of a bribery charge was former insurance commissioner Gordon W. Taylor, and that was in 1990. Jim Angel says it is a lack of means and criminal intent. So, you know, it's just not, you know, we don't have the means to deal with it, and so we just don't deal with it, and so that's how it is. Well, that's, I mean, what kind of state would say that? I mean, you know that corruption's going on. You know what's going on, but there would only be one reason why this is not being addressed, because obviously it's it's going on, and it's the people that address this that are involved, is the way I feel. But while the people may have good intentions, there is also a fair attitude towards enforcement of certain laws and people being held accountable for their actions. Well, they're not being held accountable for their actions because there is no such thing in the state. Wyoming's governor, and state cabinet officials have never been prosecuted for any alleged crimes. Never. That says a lot too. But the former superintendent of public instructions, Cindy Hill, did come under fire. She was investigated in 2013 for using the state plane for personal trips, and also for she missed federal grant funds. Governor Mike Mead signed a law stripping Hill of her elected duties and removing her from managing the state education department. She sued the state and won when the state Supreme Court overturned the law, ruling it was unconstitutional. Hill returned to office in March of 2014 and finished out her elected term in January. No criminal charges emerged from the legislative probe, but Hill was officially reprimanded by lawmakers for her conduct. Outcomes aside, the legislature investigation highlighted the fact that the state does not have an independent ethics enforcement agency to handle such allegations. So they just don't do anything because we don't have an ethics enforcement agency. Why is that? Why? I mean, what's the excuse for not having that? How can they get away with that? And why don't they just you create one and you hire people to run those agencies and you make things right, so then you're not having allegations not being able to be looked at, or things being done to prevent it, or people not working in departments or in our government and whatever else that are in our state that are getting away with doing whatever they want, pretty much. And that's the answer. It's because those people that decide this and that create these agencies and so on are the ones that are doing the corruption. I mean, that's common sense. Why would they create this if it takes away from what they're doing? That's just my opinion. And even though they say that we lack in these types of agencies, they have yet to change it. Still to this day, they have yet to change it. And Senator Chris Rothfuss, I think that's how you say his name, told the Casper Star Tribune in July 2014, perhaps that is a lesson learned, but I don't know that we will take that into action. So it was just a lesson learned. So it's no fucking big deal. That's pretty much what he said. And although lawmakers talk about improving the system, they have yet to do it still, like I said before. Or they have yet to propose any type of bill that would create an independent ethics agency or commission to deal with the complaints against elected officials. Well, again, why would they? Because then people can make complaints about them. And so they just don't, and they get away with it. Well, they shouldn't get away with it, and us citizens should fight to have these agencies put into their, this system, and to make sure that these types of things are being, they're being punished for them, and not just overlook it, or maybe it's because a lot of the citizens are corrupt too, which I've found to be true. Moving on. And for the record, Wyoming came indeed last in the state integrity investigation access to information category. Why is that? Jim Angel said, we don't have the tools that would help people enforce public documents or other sunshine laws. So we just don't do it. We have nobody to, in the state attorney general's office to hear appeals for document or public meetings. So they just don't do it. But the Wyoming statute gives citizens the right to access government information in a general sense, but the law specifically exempts the state legislature, and there seems to be many remaining gray areas in regard to what is or isn't considered public record in the state of Wyoming. In 2012, the study was done, and it ranked Wyoming's risk of corruption high. Cheyenne, Wyoming is the third worst in the nation when it comes to preventing corruption or promoting openness to act and have accountability, according to released national studies. The wide-ranging state integrity investigation concluded by the Center of Public Integrity, Global Integrity, Public Radio International, concludes Wyoming framework needs to be strengthened in a number of areas, from complaints in finance, to access to public records. So in pretty much every fucking department. Which U.S. state is the most corrupt prone? In 2018, according to the new report by anti-corruption NGO Coalition for Integrity, 16 out of all the states got a passing grade of 60%. That's it, 16 or more. North Dakota came in last with 0%, and Wyoming behind it at 12%. So we were not the worst, in this time, but we were the second worst. Both states have some drafts measured on the horizon. However, at the present time, North Dakota doesn't have any rules against officials accepting gifts of any size from lobbyists. The 15 states that are listed in 2017 as the most corrupt states are: number 1, Wyoming. The cowboy way doesn't work in government. Michigan as number 2. South Dakota as number 3. Number 4 is Delaware, small state, big corruption. Nevada is number 5. Number 6 is Pennsylvania. Number 7 is Kansas. Lawmakers in this state don't want you to know anything about their process. Number 8 is Oklahoma. Number 9 is Louisiana. Number 10 is Maine. Number 11 is Oregon. This state assumes the best of politicians, which is the worst policy. Number 12 is North Dakota. Number 13, South Carolina. Number 14, Vermont. Number 15, Texas. Only in rare cases do we actually see politicians hauled off to jail in handcuffs. But the rest of us, we don't receive the same privilege as they do. Although they want us to cooperate. The corruption here in Wyoming and in the U.S. and compared to other countries is a lot better. So we should feel happy about that. We should be glad that our corruption here in the United States isn't anything compared to other countries. Well, I don't care about other countries. I care about the United States, the land of the free. We're supposed to have rights And this isn't giving us rights. This is taking away from that. It is allowing people to do whatever the hell they want and not have consequences. But us citizens, everything that we do, we turn wrong. We have one beer and go out in public, we get arrested. Or if you get an argument, I can go on and on and on. We are, constantly being thrown in jail. We have people, our prisons are being, they're just over, there's so many, they're overcrowded. There's so many people in there. Doesn't anybody ever question why? Doesn't anybody ever question why we don't come up with a better system than locking people away like animals? Why we're not trying to better these people? Why don't we create another system that will help these people instead of locking them up and then making these people worse than when they went in? I mean, but we don't care, because all these people that I just spoke about, they're making their money. They're getting their bribes and from lobbyists, and and it's just no big deal because we just don't have the agencies to take care of it. Well, us as the citizens need to speak up and speak out and make sure that there are agencies that have this. With our prisons, I touched that. I mean, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. In my case, corruption allowed people to fake a death, cover it up, and allow them to harass me, spread lies about me, and made it extremely simple to destroy my life and simple to keep doing it and continue to do it. Us, the people that these things happen to, we don't have any rights or a chance when we are up against politicians, city officials, state officials, judges, law enforcement, and the real people that get paid from allowing this to happen. I can't continue to list all the reasons to why the state I live in is so corrupt, and why people that are directly involved in this corruption are totally screwing people like me and making it easy to target people like me, to be followed, to be harassed nonstop, to not be able to go out and get a normal job, to identity theft, to destroying credit, to you name it. It's been done to me. It has. I've been thrown in jail for things I didn't do, or they've made them out to be a lot worse than the actual crime I did commit. And I've had my home taken away from me. I've had my bank accounts emptied. I've been sued. I've been attacked in my yard and beaten the fuck out of. And nothing has ever been done except make me look bad. I'm the one that everybody shunned. I'm the one that they pushed out of town. My daughter and I. And no one gave a fuck what was happening to me, and they still don't. I still don't have people that make sure I'm okay or want to help me. And it's because of who is doing it to me and how it was done. And it's a bunch of bullshit. Corruption is real. It is huge where I live. And it's huge in other states too. And it's us, the citizens, that have to change it. I am very aware that a lot of the citizens are involved. Like in my case, a lot of people know exactly what happened. But do you think somebody speaks up or sticks up for me or wants to make things right for me or my daughter? No, they don't give a shit, because they don't want to get in trouble. Nobody wants to admit it, or they're too scared to admit it. But it's not right, and it needs to change. We don't want our children growing up in a corrupt, society and having our state and government officials do, bad things to them. How would you feel if it was your daughter that had something like what I had done to me, done to them? Or, there's a million, there's how many people out there that they have had corruption destroy their lives. And why? Well, because money talks. That's why. And people do. They don't care if they leave you homeless and nowhere to go, and take all your money, so you have no food, and you have no way to buy food, so you end up having to go beg, from people around you, or you have to go stand in line at the churches to receive food. You know why? Because they've never been in that predicament. But if they were ever put in that predicament, or any of you, then you would be speaking out. You would want things to change just like me. Am I scared to speak out? Yeah, but what is allowing my fear going to accomplish? How is that going to help me? How is that going to help the next person they do it to, or the next person? It's time for people like me and others to start fighting back, to speak out and let people know that injustice is done to them, to let them know that they are harassing them, because the law enforcement don't care, because the law enforcement is involved. Everywhere you turn to, they're involved, so no one wants to help you. Well, then that leaves you yourself to help yourself. In my case, my family, my friends, they don't exist anymore. Why is that? Because they think I'm, or they try to portray that I'm crazy, even though I have so much evidence. Nobody wants to hear me. Nobody wants to even see me. This is where a good attorney would come in, that would take my case, that would want to help people. Isn't that the whole purpose of becoming an attorney? And knowing that not only am I a woman that this is happening to, but also I'm a single mom, and the things that have been done to me, that are still being done to me, are just outrageously ridiculous. But nobody wants to address it because the authorities are the ones that are causing it. Well, I'm addressing it. And I'm going to continue to address it until somebody actually does something about it. Let me see what else I wanted to go over. And that's I want to build a career now from my experiences, and then also throughout all my research that I've done, because I have researched everything and anything I ever talk about, or I have personally experienced it, and I know personally, or I know from facts that were published, to be able to put this out there, to be able to talk about it. I do not just think something up and not ever research it, or not ever experience it, and just start making a big deal about it, or trying to bring it to the public's eye, until I know for a fact that it is an issue that's being overlooked, or it is a problem that we might try to address but never do, or people are being taken advantage of, or harassed, having their things being stolen from them, all because of who's doing it. And what they do is they make us people that are going through this out to be crazy. People gossip and spread lies. I mean, horrible lies about us. Our reputation is ruined, destroyed. At some point, they break into our homes. They put cameras. We've ran across microphones in my house. And that's not legal. You can't legally do that. Why? So they know what I know? Well, I know, and I do speak out about it. I've had to face people accusing me of killing my husbands. One committed suicide, but the other one didn't. But they staged it to look like it, and they used my daughter's dad's suicide and the way he did it to stage the next one. So then I looked guilty. I looked like I did something wrong. People were hateful. I received nooses on my Facebook somebody ran their vehicle through my fence, my front yard fence, and drove off. I had a man attack me in my backyard when I was getting some cleaning stuff to go to my, work at my business. And I heard somebody walking around on leaves. And I turned around and there was this tall guy with blonde hair. And he grabbed me by my hair and he literally, slammed my face down on the cement. And it was so bad. My face was so swollen. And called the police. But later when I went to go get the police report, because I wanted it for this, for my information of everything that was going on, there was no police report. When my husband committed suicide, so they say, I wanted the autopsy report. It took me forever to get the autopsy report, and I'm telling you that it's not real. It's something that somebody created, and I've had that verified. I also spoke to the pathologist where all of the Wyoming autopsies are done, and he didn't do the report, so that's another verification. I've had my bank accounts completely left with no money. All the money that I saved for my daughter for college they were able to take it. These people, before they even started this, were driving brand new Cadillacs. They, from then till now, have had a brand new car in their driveway, if not more. And the husband that is supposed to be deceased has a car, a Corvette, a brand new Corvette, registered in his mom's name, but it's his car, is what the information says. And then they also have a Honda Accord car registered in my name that I've never seen. They literally got credit cards in my name, ran them up to the max. One, I think, was like $7,000, never paid a dime, but it's all under my name. They have gone to hospitals with my information, and I can go on and on and on with that. I did the research. I investigated it. I found the name that was using it. I found who it was. I even contacted this woman that's linked to my husband that says that they were married. And I took all this information to the police, and nothing has yet to be done. My credit is still destroyed. I can't purchase a new home. I can't get a credit card. I can't do shit because of what they've done. But then again, because of corruption, nothing gets done because of who I am. So I could go on and on and on for hours and hours. This isn't fair. I didn't do anything to ever deserve this. I was a target. I was an easy target. You know why? Because I'm an empath. Because I'm very loving. I'm very sensitive. I'm very giving. I'm very patient. I want to help people. And people just run all over me. They take advantage of my kindness. And they see me as naive, an easy target. And pretty much I was. Because that's what happened to me, is a man came in. I thought that we were in love. I thought, I thought we were going to spend the rest of our lives together. And he came in and he sucked the life out of me. He took everything I had worked so hard for. He destroyed a business that I worked 24 hours a day for, pretty much, and built from nothing, not having one dime of money. And he took it and destroyed it. All this happened to me, and not one person thought, what the hell, or thought to help me, or to stick up for me. Not one person ever did. Not even my own fucking family. Everybody just told me to suck it up and just move on. But you know what? That was easy for them to say. But I was left with no money. I was heartbroken because I thought another one of my husbands had passed away from suicide. I couldn't figure it out because I definitely didn't see it coming. What it all came down to is that town, came together and ganged up on me, allowed them to, take everything from an innocent person that didn't deserve this in the first place, and leave her homeless and without anything. And not one fucking person cared. Now, how is that? And why is that? A town that I grew up in, that I mean, it used to drive my husband crazy. I couldn't even go sit in a restaurant without being overwhelmed with people talking to me because I knew so many people. I thought I had that many friends, and I thought I had that many people that cared about me. And when this happened, I found out I had none. I found out I was alone. That not even my family was there for me. People didn't call to see if I was doing okay. People didn't care. Because you know why? Because people knew the fucking truth. They knew he was alive. Everybody knew what he had done to me, and not one person ever did anything, and still hasn't done anything to help me. Except they still run my name in the dirt. They still are always following me and harassing me. And I no longer have any friends or family, at that means, besides my daughter and I. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're not trying to take her away from me too. Because they just want to break me down and keep me broke down and afraid to leave my home. Not able to get employment outside of my home, so I have to create my own jobs. I do a furniture business. But then again, that thing was booming, and all of a sudden it just quit. Nobody's buying anything from me. It's because of who I am. Somebody put a stop to it. That's my life, and it's all because of corruption. And it's not fair. It's pathetic from whoever's doing it. And it's because of I speak out. It's because I'm not afraid to tell people the truth. I'm not afraid to stick up for myself. I'm not afraid that they're going to come in and, well, I've been afraid. I'm afraid that every day that they're going to come in and just kill me. You'll be reading about me in the newspaper next that I committed suicide. Well, right now, I'll tell you, I'll never commit suicide. If I ever die that way, you know that I didn't do it. So I'll just say that right out. But it's for a person like me that does give people and does do things for others without hesitation, without a second thought, because that's who I am. I don't get that in return. Heck, I don't even get friendships, real friendships in return. People come in to, gain my trust, and they deceive me every time. They take, if I tell them anything, they take that and run and tell whomever wants to know. I don't date. People don't want to date me, which is here or there. I mean, it's became a really lonely life that I've had to adjust to. I've had to accept that this is my life, but I'm tired of taking it up the ass, and I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm done. I'm going to talk about what's going on in my state and in all states, and I'm going to make sure that people know, and people know what was done to me, because there's a lot more to come. So this is just barely getting the tips, or hitting on the tips of what has been done. And I plan on sharing every bit of it. And I plan on researching to see what the statistics are and how many people this has happened to. And I'm not going to be afraid to speak out of what I know to be true, and to demand justice to be done for stuff that should have never even taken place. And it all took place out of greed, for money, out of jealousy, and it's done through black magic. It's done through, city officials, and like I said, and it's done through families, and it's done through life insurance fraud. That's a huge thing. That's a huge, huge thing that people are doing that they probably don't know I know, but I do, very much so. And I have spoke out about it. I have turned that over to the insurance fraud department here in Wyoming with a big box full of proof, and nothing has yet to be done. People have used my social and have gotten new birth certificates, and have claimed life insurance policies on me, my daughter. At one point, I found where my whole family was deceased. And what these people are doing is what they do is they go to each state with their birth certificate, or with, you know, the proof of being, you know, a U.S. citizen, and they are getting addresses. There's so many people involved. They're having, you know, they're getting a local address, and they're able to get a new birth certificate, and then they alter them, and they fake deaths. And you can, if you view your name, you can research it. Some people, like, that don't have a very common name, like my mom, Cora Maxwell, you research her, and there's probably like hundreds of her that are deceased. Come on. That is not a common name. It's not a common name now. It was back in a long time ago, but that is just not a common name. And like my name or my daughter's name or people that, I mean, it's a huge thing, and it's a huge thing that people have been doing for a long time and getting away with it. And that's where people get their money from. And for some reason, the state is so corrupt, and not for some reason, but the state's so corrupt that it's just overlooked. And it's the people in the state jobs that are helping do all this. Because why not? They're making tons of money too. But people like me, they take it all away. I didn't get life insurance from anyone. Not one dime. Actually, I didn't get anything. I lost 200 and what would it come up to? It totaled to almost $300,000 is what I took up the ass during this time. And I didn't receive one dime back. And I lost my home. Everything that I put into that home, it was my money. It wasn't my husband's, it was all my money. But they, even though they gave me the house, they said I was a tenant that lived in there. I didn't pay my rent. There was no fucking rent. He had told us that the house was being foreclosed on because it had been refinanced, and they weren't paying on it. So I was handing him money. I was, you know, doing all this shit. And just to lose close to $300,000 and to be homeless and without food and had no idea where the hell I was going. And no one cared. And then they moved into the house, but they were supposed to sell it. And they had 1 year to sell it. Well, I moved back three years later, and they still hadn't sold it. But that was okay. So the corruption is real here, and it affects people like me and many other people's lives. And it's time to put a stop to it. It's time to look into it. It's time to stop allowing this to go on. Because if it's not happening to me, it's happening to someone else. And next time it could be your own daughter, or your own son, or grandkids. And I would hope, unlike my family, they would want to help you. They'd want to figure it out, and they'd want justice to be served. And it's time. And there will be justice served in mine. If I have to fight this for the rest of my life, I will. So, thank you for coming today. Thank you for listening to my video. I had a lot more information, but I got sidetracked on what I wanted to share about my stuff, and that's pretty much what I'm wanting to get out there. It's not that I'm playing a victim. I want people to know the truth,